Hello, everyone. This is the Black Eel Podcast, and this is episode 4. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the 2 newest episodes of The Bad Batch and slightly talk about The Mandalorian. Then we're going to ease our way into DC, talking about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, because they released a new trailer, a gameplay trailer. And then we'll be moving in right after that to talk about the main event of today's episode, specifically about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. We're going to be talking about the movie as a whole, and we're going to be talking about the after-credit scenes and where this leads in the MCU for the future. Just some things to cut into this to start off with. When we get to the Marvel section of our podcast, there will be heavy spoilers ahead. Heavy spoilers ahead. So if you have not seen the movie, I'd recommend, pausing the podcast, pausing it on YouTube, wherever you're listening to us, and waiting until you watch the movie and then come listen to what we have to say. But as always, it is your hosts, Scott and Mike, and let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about Star Wars, The Bad Batch. So how did you think about these 2 episodes, Mike?
I enjoyed them. They weren't, super crazy, but they were. I enjoyed the ride for these 2 episodes. It showed a little bit. Normally, when we see, so I liked this episode because it showed a little bit more of what's going on in the group's mindset. With how they see each other, with losing teammates and gaining teammates, because they said how people are going to be, the Bad Batch, but they gained friends and they lost friends along the way, and how
Everything all right? So yeah, the big thing for me was the fact that we we got to see a different side of the galaxy. We got to see other areas be affected by what's going on around us. We got to see the dynamic in the first episode of the Bad Batch losing a member, and how I don't want to say it didn't affect the Bad Batch, but I think because of their military experience, they kind of dealt with it very differently than Omega, obviously. Omega not being a military person, although she has been doing some, military type actions lately, she's really not that same status as they are. They are in a completely different status than her. She is, still a child and can't deal with change as well. And us seeing that dynamic was definitely excellent, in my opinion. And then we moved on to the second episode, which really showed that they can still come together, but also realize that the universe is still screwed up. And the fact that I think text line at the very end, which was, Omega's like, well, there's so many bad guys out in the world, just like the Empire. He's like, yeah, but there's a lot of people like us out there. And I think that's what makes it better.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, before there was commotion going on in my background. The thing that I liked, like you said, I totally agree with you about how we saw the other sides of the galaxy that we saw. It's not just the Empire; it's all over the place. And then, I saw how it's affecting, like you said a little bit, how it affected the tech Echo leaving the team affected Omega a little bit more, and how they're just, like you said, they're more military, so they're used to the people coming and going, or it's a part of the team. They said it at the very beginning when at the very beginning when they were going over everything about how Tech turns around. He's like, the team was made before Echo, and it's going to be around much longer than him. So their mindset of how people come and go, like you said, and then you saw a little bit of them getting in each other's throats, they getting under each other's skin kind of thing. They were arguing, which, we see them fight here and there, but this, at least from my memory, this was the first episode where we actually saw them getting pissed off at each other kind of thing. And it seemed like it was affecting the mission because they, acting more childish than, like family does. You get pissed off at each other, kind of thing, and it clouds your judgment.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think the other thing, too, is just the age is really what throws me off because I think they're technically younger than Omega.
That's possible. That's possible.
I can't remember if it because in the first season, I think they mentioned that. I mean, I know her aging is the same as Boba Fett's, in the sense of it's more realistic in the aging process.
Yep.
But I thought they made a comment about like when they found her or whatever, or like when they got the schematics of everything before the place got destroyed. They found out that she was created before them. But because of the advanced aging and everything else, obviously they're older than her. I mean, they're older than her physically. But I think they also were out and about before her because she was too young to be out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember that actually. It's
going to bother me because I feel like that was talked about, but I can't remember. I feel like it was either the same exact time, like they were made at the same exact time, or if she was made before. I forget what it was, but it was something along those lines. But overall, I did like these episodes, and I definitely have said this multiple times, but this season has definitely been much better, in my opinion. Even the filler episodes, because this is what it was, didn't make me not mad that it didn't go with the plot because it gave me a new side of the universe. It kind of gave us the dynamic of their characters and everything else, and dealing with the loss. I mean, like you said, this was the first real fight where they weren't arguing over who got to blow something up. They were arguing over who screwed up. And I think that was a big difference in this dynamic because their numbers are dwindling.
Yep.
I mean, they're now down to 3 members.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing against Omega. I'm not saying she doesn't count. I'm just stating, like, when they're used to, like, military missions and stuff like that, she wasn't considered up until recently. I mean, the fact that Hunter let Omega go with the kid to
That's a big step.
get the key card is a huge step because episodes before this, never in the world would he have allowed that.
He would have done it, but he's very like in the double episode, like he was very when she wanted to go with the senator, he was like absolutely not, and she was like, "We'll be safe. It's fine. We're in the Senate," and he's like, "Fine, we'll do it." But like you said, just very reluctant. And this time, it wasn't really. It was like, "All right, you're part of the team. Let's go."
Well, I think it was one of those things where like he volunteered himself and he was told no. And then he was like, the only one that could do, the kid was like, the only one that can do this is her. And he was like, fine. Like it wasn't like his first choice, but he didn't go against it, which I think was a huge step for his character too. Definitely enjoyed it. I personally enjoyed the 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, they weren't necessarily the best episodes for sure, but I did enjoy them.
Yeah. It showed a little bit more with the character development, and then obviously shows a little bit too with Sid's priority with the group.
Yeah, I'm hoping that gets addressed in the next episode or in the next coming episodes. I would imagine the next episode because they are getting off planet now. Because the second episode, obviously, it wasn't going to happen because they had to show how they got the ship back, which made sense. But they definitely are going to have to address Sid not helping, especially in a timely manner, which shouldn't be all that shocking because it was foreshadowed. But I don't think personally, I didn't think it was foreshadowed for this particular piece. I thought it was going to be for something completely different, which it still could be. I'm just stating, like, I think this is kind of like a show to the Bad Batch that they're expendable, which they figured they were anyway, because if they don't make Sid money, they're not going to be worth anything. But it's just one of those things where I'm just surprised that it happened so quickly after.
Well, this wasn't really a big thing. It was just more like showing the hints of like what he said in the prior episode about how just remember she's not always loyal to those who are loyal to her. So,
loyalty to her doesn't mean the same thing. Yeah. It was the whole thing he was making too, which I think was kind of cool. And then that was pretty much it for those 2 episodes. I mean, there really wasn't huge plot things going on. It was mostly, like we said, the dynamics of the characters and the fact that Omega's more a part of the team than before, in my personal opinion. Yeah. In the sense of she's more part of the team in the sense of she has a job in the missions, which was not the case before. She would just learn and watch, but now she's kind of, I don't think she's forced to, because I don't think that's the right way to put it, but like now it's like necessary that she needs to be a part of it.
The thing too that it shows with every episode when they go on missions is that Omega is becoming more and more of trying to be the negotiator and trying to be the human side of the team, whereas the other members of the team, their first instinct is to shoot because that's what they were trained to do. If there is a confrontation, it's going to be a fight. Whereas with Omega, she tried to get with the kid on his human side and tried to, listen, this is wrong. You're being lied to. You're not fighting on the right side. Come with us and we'll help you. And whereas the other three were like, we just got to get rid of him. He's going to help us and we're going to dispose of him after because we can't trust him. Whereas Omega, she's young. She hasn't seen the side of war that they have. She's like, there's still trust that we can get from these people.
Well, I think the big thing for me is the fact that Omega exists, and I know that sounds stupid when I say that, but like we have only seen her in the Bad Batch, right? So unless she dies, obviously, she would be around during the Mandalorian time. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So my whole thing is like, because by then the clones are dead. The Bad Batch would be dead by that point. By age, at the very least.
Well, I mean, possibly. We don't.
Well, 30.
I mean, we don't really know. I mean,
that's valid. All right, I'll give you that, but they definitely be significantly older.
They would,
because we saw Rex during Rebels.
Yep, and he was old.
That was right towards, and he was old, and that was before Episode 4.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like. My assumption would be that obviously she's going to outlive them. We know that.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that they're going to be dead at that point, around that point.
You never know what Disney can do. But, I mean...
Yeah, but you understand what I'm getting at.
No, I totally understand what you say. I totally get it.
I'd love to see Omega in the other shows, but I understand why they won't. Because then it would be like, well, obviously she stays alive. But, I mean... It's one of those things where it's like we haven't seen her in anything else that we are aware of, because there was a character in the sequels trilogy that I thought could have been her, like if she changed her name and something like that. But it's by no means correct, because I wouldn't imagine that they would. The senator, you know who I'm talking about? Sorry, the one that went down with the ship. I can't remember if it was...
Oh, episode 8. I think
it was 8.
I think that was 8.
You know which one I'm talking about, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't she look like she could have been Omega?
I thought she was in a... I mean, yes, it's possible. I mean, you never know until there's confirmation. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't think it is, but it's possible. I can't say no.
No, but my point.
You're right.
My
if
point
she changed her name, it is possible and could possibly be around the correct age.
You have to...
don't remember because it's been so long since I've seen the sequels, but I thought that character was in prior Star Wars content.
She might have been. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just remember thinking after watching them and already seeing the first season of Bad Batch that, oh, wow, that looks like Omega.
Oh, okay.
Like an older version of Omega. If you understand what I'm saying. Like it looked like, and again, it's just based on looks. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yep.
But the fact that we're also seeing her being more on the political side made me think of it a little bit more as time went on.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, it's literally not necessarily true. I'm just stating, like, I thought that there's a chance that, I mean, she's got to exist after. I can't imagine she dies, because I'd be really messed up. I would hate it, personally.
Hey, you never
the
know.
other thing, too, is, I mean, technically, Boba Fett's name wasn't Boba Fett originally.
No, yeah.
It was Alpha.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it changed because of, later, but I'm just saying, like, you could argue that was his code name, and then he gave himself a real name, or his dad did.
Django gave him a name, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, anything can happen until it's officially stated by Disney. Anything is possible. So,
But,
with all of our
and then
headcanon and stuff.
exactly. And then the other thing is, obviously, I'm super excited for The Mandalorian coming out this week.
Yep.
That is going to be a huge thing. It's going to be this Wednesday, March 1st.
Cannot
Finally,
wait.
we get that. There's going to be 8 episodes.
Yep. Cannot wait. Super excited. Can't wait for those.
The only thing that they didn't do was, and I think, I don't remember if they ever did it before, but they didn't give run times. They gave the dates they're going to be released, but they didn't give run times.
Yeah, no, they never gave run times. But usually, if I remember correctly, Mandalorian is usually around a 40-minute episode per 40 minutes per episode. So, except
correct, but sometimes the season finale can be double.
Yeah, the season finale.
Or longer. It wasn't double, but it was longer.
Yeah.
I think it was an hour or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So we're supposed to see a bunch of people. So I can't wait for that. We're going to talk about that in the next episode, in the next podcast, which is in 2 weeks. We'll be talking about 2 episodes of The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian. So hopefully we'll be ready for that.
How much content?
All right. Yeah, a lot of content. Well, speaking of a lot of content, now it's your turn, Mike. We are now in the DC era.
There we go.
Talk about it.
So this week we finally, after months of waiting, got the first look at the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League gameplay. We saw a little bit of story about how Amanda Waller is telling the team that Brainiac, the Justice League has gone rogue. They have to stop them. The Flash, being the Flash, while mind-controlled by Brainiac, is basically dicking around with them and like just toying with them, just running around like, "Oh, you think I'm going to let you stop you? Don't worry about it. I'm going to be fine. You guys can do it. There's nothing you can do to stop us." And they showed the game. They, like I said, they didn't really go too much into story. They just showed the gameplay for most of it, which people have been asking for with how Arkham Knight was, or not Arkham Knight, Gotham Knights. People were worried that this game wasn't going to live up to the Arkham series gameplay.
What did you think of the gameplay, personally?
From what it looked like it could be a good time. I know some people, when I was looking through Twitter and stuff, were complaining, which, I mean, it's Twitter, so that's all they ever do. Some people were complaining, "Oh, we've been waiting so long for this. This is embarrassing," and blah, 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 blah. I didn't really mind it. Obviously, there's more to see. Some things that people were complaining about, they were making, not really complaining, but they were making jokes. They were, watching Harley Quinn. They were like, "Ah, yes, Harley Quinn, known for her grapple hooks and all that other stuff." And it's like,
well, I think for me, that was like, I think there was a huge emphasis, and maybe it was just the level, but like there was a huge emphasis on them like floating, like whether it be with jetpacks or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like that was a huge thing of it. And I think the other thing too is, and maybe it's just me by watching it, but as a gamer, it looks like it's going to be more complicated.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's simpler than what it looks like.
Well, I know that one of the major things, I mean, it's a live service game, which means you have to be online even if you're playing by yourself, which, I mean, I don't like that, but that's the way modern gaming is.
But isn't everyone's system online anyway? You know what I'm saying? When you play it?
Most of the time? For the Xbox, you have to, if you want to play your games, majority of games for Xbox, you have to be signed in online. PlayStation, I don't think you need to be.
You're correct. As long as it's already been downloaded.
Yeah.
And there's no like downloadable content that's needed, you don't need to sign in.
Yeah. That's the thing with that. It always irritates me a little bit, but
I think you do need to have the internet connected if you want to save your progress. I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I think so. I think to save. So like if you go back and forth, I think it messes with it, like on and off.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong on that, but I think that was an issue with the PS4, if I remember correctly. I know we have the PS5 now. That might have been corrected, but I mean, the PS4, I think you had to be online to save your progress, or if you stayed offline, you had to stay offline to play. I think, why you give me that look?
We have the PS5, but yet someone doesn't use the PS5.
All right. I'll have to for this game. To be honest with you, it
Yes.
will only be able to be played on that. No, I think for me the gameplay was surprisingly complex, and I think it had a lot more questions than answers,
Oh
in my
yeah.
opinion.
I
Which I
know.
think was the point anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a teaser, just give people a taste of what's to come. I know part of the people that are complaining about, it's a single player game. They have a season pass, which, again, it is what it is. That's the nature of games nowadays. Hopefully, there's still ways to unlock stuff without the season pass. Hopefully, it's more just like cosmetic stuff and all that other jazz. I'm looking forward to it because similar to Gotham Knights, you could play with other people as well. And then
I didn't realize that for Gotham Knights. You could.
Yeah, you could. It kind of irritated me because I didn't really know how to turn that feature on and off, and I'd be playing through the story, and just random people would join me online, and I'm like, please leave. So
I want to enjoy the story. Gosh.
But yeah, then as they showed more gameplay, they actually showed they skipped to what needs to be done, where basically to the title card of the game, where the Flash is just beating on the Suicide Squad because they can't keep up with him. They gave a little story about Flash is you think you guys are a bunch of criminals trying to be noble and stuff, and Captain Boomerang turns around and he's like, well, at least we aren't a turncoat and like you. And Flash starts beating on them, and Diana comes in for the save, hooks her with the lasso of truth, and apparently Brainiac's mind control can fight that a little bit, because it seemed like he was struggling when she asked him, how can we save you? And he turned around and he said, the only way you can save us is to kill us. Which is like, that gave me a little bit of goosebumps, because it's like, oh geez, this is I'm going to assume there's going to be a way that they're going to save the Justice League, but we'll have to see.
I will be surprised if we don't kill people in this.
I think some of them will be killed. Like maybe if there's minor Justice League members, because we don't know all the Justice League members.
Well, I think it was a shock to see that the fact that Wonder Woman not only was in it, but is not captured.
Yeah,
there's got to be some sort of story on the fact of how they got captured, because clearly she wasn't. But Superman, Batman, and the Flash are the only ones that have been confirmed as being under Brainiac's control.
Yep. We're gonna have. There's so many questions that are going to need to be answered in this, because how did they get under the control? How is Batman alive?
Well, that, and also the fact of, like, how do you get the ammo, too? I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but, like, if you notice, there was limited ammo. Like, you don't have unlimited ammo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's another thing.
Yeah, there's going to be something that comes up as we go, probably. I mean, it seems.
And then I saw levels, too.
So.
And we also see that there's a level. So they gave a max of level 20. I'm assuming they went with the max level. So each person has their own level. And I'm curious to see. I'm assuming the level unlocks stuff. I don't think it necessarily makes you stronger by itself. I think it gives you just stuff to make it easier.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're starting at the beginning, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easier, and as you progress through the story, you level up, you unlock more stuff. I think it's going to be similar to looting system to how Injustice 2 was.
Okay.
That's my guess.
No, it could be right.
And I think there's going to take a little bit with Gotham Knights, which I know you didn't play Gotham Knights, where you got your equipment similar to Injustice. You got your equipment, you leveled up, you could upgrade it and make it better as you level up, get materials to level it up. But obviously this one's a little bit different, because in Injustice there was no. That's a fighting game. It was very simple. And then Gotham Knights, they don't use weapons, or they don't use guns. So there's no need to go around and find ammo, because it's just,
Correct. I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, I would imagine that there's going to be perks and stuff like that too. So, like, if you get a headshot, it drops ammo or something stupid like that. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but like, it makes sense. I just think, like, movement-wise, it looked very complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this one.
And again, we are only going by physically what we see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like we physically played it.
We also have to understand too that these are going to be different kind of characters, because when we're playing the Arkham games, it's Batman. He's a slower mover. You know, when you get into the fighting, yeah, he gets fast, but he's still a slower character. Whereas these characters, they have to be more agile and with moving around and whatnot. So you can't expect it to be exactly the same as the Arkham series, because they're just completely different characters.
No, and I agree with you. I'm just thinking in the sense of it looks almost more like Halo, in the sense of like no, meaning like the shooting and everything else, the huge tanks with the bubbles on their back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I know I'm doing a very broad comparison, but like what I'm getting at is it's like it's reminding me of that.
Mm-hmm.
But this one it's kind of like also a little bit of Destiny too, like mixed in.
Mm-hmm.
Where it looks like you get to pick your class in the sense of your character.
Yeah.
So we see that King Shark has like these twin hooks, along with what I'm assuming is a huge machine gun.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Quinn apparently has a very similar weapon that King Shark has, in the sense of like the gun. It looks very similar, like firing wise. And then she has her baseball bat, which isn't all that shocking.
Yep.
It looks like Boomerang has more handguns, and then his boomerangs as his melee weapon. And then for Deadshot, obviously he's a gun guy. That's not a shock.
Yep.
I didn't see melee stuff for him. Did you? Because I don't remember.
No, I did not. No, off the top of my head, no, I did not see that.
Because it looked like they all had melee weapons except for him. But it could be just for the sheer fact that
when Deadshot does melee combat, he doesn't usually use like melee weapons. It's more just like fist combat to get by, and then uses his guns.
Well, technically, so does King Shark, but he has twin hooks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with you, but I felt like they unless they just didn't show it in this trailer. You know, I just thought it was strange in my opinion. But again, it was just because I'm comparing them all because you're gonna want to figure out which one you want to be. I mean, right now I'm King Shark. 100%. 100%. And if I'm not King Shark, the only other one I might go with, and this is hilarious because the reason why I won't go with Harley Quinn is not. Here's the thing: love Harley Quinn to death, but she seems to be the most complex. Her and Deadshot seem to be the hardest game to be right now. And again, I've not played it myself, so I can't say for sure. But I'm talking about just based on what I saw. I'd rather be the tank of a shark or be the jerk of throwing boomerangs.
We'll have to see, obviously, how this game goes, just because, you know, if it's actually a good game, you'll want to play it again and play different characters.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I only did one playthrough of Gotham Knights because I just was not a fan of that game. So I picked Nightwing, did Nightwing, that was it. Didn't care about, I just wanted to get through the game, and that was it. But hopefully this game is
better,
is good, and it has lived up to the hype that it had going into it. Obviously, this is first gameplay. Things can change as we get closer to the game.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it comes out. I think it comes out in the summer or late spring.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you.
Either way, it comes out when it comes out.
Yeah. I have no idea. Oh, no. It's actually May 26th.
Okay, so late spring. All right.
And it's only on the PS5. Interesting.
No, it's on Xbox too.
Oh, you know what? No, that's incorrect. The reason why I see... All right, so it's May 26th. The reason why it said that was because I was watching it on the PlayStation channel. That's why. They only put PlayStation. They wouldn't put Xbox, obviously.
Yep.
But no, I'm definitely going to play this one because this one I've been looking forward to, and the gameplay didn't deter me because it at least made a little bit more sense on what the heck is going on because we hadn't seen anything, really.
Yeah.
We've literally only seen the trailers and then Superman.
Yep.
Like, that's it. We've seen
Batman.
Tentacles. Yeah, but that was much later.
Yeah.
Superman was like the first one we saw for like a long time.
Yep.
And then we're just all watching as he's Brainiac's pawn,
Yep.
and we're just like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
what happens now? Nothing. But definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Other than that, that's really it for DC.
Until Shazam.
Yep, Shazam is next, which we know how that we feel about that at the moment.
Well, here's the thing. I still think the movie's going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm just PO'd with the fact that I think they spoiled a major plot point.
I'm less excited because I know, like you said, I know more of the plot.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one, but I'm still thinking it's going to be a good movie.
Don't get me wrong.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you that I feel like a lot of like my excitement did go down because I'm like, oh, well, now I know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
For the most part. And there's not everything I know, but I mean, like, I think I know where the story's going to be going towards.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact ending, but I know where it's heading.
The other thing that I've heard recently, which I don't understand how people are coming up with this logic, because the movie.
Oh, is it the recasting? It's the recasting of Shazam? Because I heard that one too.
No.
Which was false, but I heard about it.
No, that whole thing of we have to cancel what's his name?
Zachary Levi.
Yeah, is coming because of the comments he made about Big Pharma, which whether you agree with it or not, we don't know his extent. All he said was, you never can trust Big Pharma, and people are taking it that he's anti-vaccine, which isn't necessarily true. It could be true, but he's never clarified. But
He'd be smart not to be honest with you, regardless.
Yeah. And James Gunn has basically come out and said that, I can't keep changing things because of things that my actors have said, which is true. I mean, especially with the movie coming out in a month.
Well, that is a huge thing too. It's not like they're in post production or anything like that. But even then, I mean, what he said wasn't nearly as bad as what The Flash has done.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't arrested or anything like that. Like, he wasn't providing information that was false or anything like that. He just made an opinion statement, and that was it. He didn't go into detail or anything else.
Yep.
To my knowledge, he didn't. But no, because I'd heard a lot of people wanted Chris Pratt to replace him as Shazam, and I was like, no.
Okay, I thought those were just more jokes because Chris Pratt they're casting him in everything.
Well, yeah, but I think it was the point was because of what happened, we're now going to replace him with Chris Pratt.
Okay.
So I think it was partly joke, but like partly serious at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
the other thing that I've heard, moving away from Shazam, the other thing that I've heard, but this is the thing that I don't understand, is what I've been seeing is that people are saying that Aquaman 2 is the worst DCEU film ever released, which
it hasn't been released.
Exactly. And it isn't being released until the holidays. So I don't understand how people are seeing this movie and making this claim. They're saying that it is a total mess and it is even going to be worse than Wonder Woman 2.
Which is so weird to me because, like, first off, they have enough time to fix it if it is that bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like that is all that much of a deterrent for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that all of a sudden, like, you could see the movie already.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way it's done. Like, they filmed it. They finished filming it, most likely. But my point I'm making is there's no way it's, like, finished. Like, they've edited it on all the CGI and everything else.
Yeah. No, the people, I mean, these movies, they filmed the major scenes, but like you said, they have to go through edits and all this other stuff.
And sometimes they have to do reshoots, depending on if they don't get any good shots of the thing that they had.
Yeah.
Or they replace an actor. But, I mean, like, that's normally what they do the reshoots for.
They still have all summer to film if they need to. So, But,
all right.
Yep. So, I mean, overall, I think that's it for DC. I haven't really heard or anything from comics aside from these comics being, now that James Gunn has announced all the stuff that his stuff is going to be based off of, all that they're becoming tough to find. But otherwise, I definitely think that's it for DC.
Yeah, I mean, we knew there wasn't going to be much for this particular time. I think for the next one and the one after, there'll be a lot more because we'll be talking about Shazam.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the big topic today because we have not discussed this really much. I think we only said like two things about this. So we are talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it was the greatest movie, but it was definitely a very good movie. And I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'm going to tell you mine. Just on the movie itself, we're not going to talk about the after credit scenes yet. We're going to talk about those separately. So the movie itself as a whole.
So, I thought the movie was good. Like you said, I don't think it was the best. I don't think it was the worst. I thought it was good. I think when we were talking, I gave it like a 7.5 or an 8. I think now thinking on it a little bit, I'll bump it up. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Story wise, I know in our last episode we gave our thoughts about what was going to happen. We were both not right, and we both were not wrong. So
yeah, that's the first thing I thought of too. Was when I saw that scene, I was like, "Am I right? Like, did I guess this?" And then it happened. I went, "Oh, I wasn't completely wrong, but I wasn't right either."
Yep. So for the majority of the movie, I would say, I guess, off of my initial impression of the movie, I guess I was more correct. We saw how powerful Kang was. We saw how he could use his technology. I didn't think there were going to be other Kang. I know you said that he was going to show his dominance on the other Kangs. I didn't think that they were going to do that. I thought they were going to, like, this was going to be the first introduction to Kang, and then as the more MCU movies come out, we were going to see other variants of Kang, and that was going to really show what was going on. I'm trying
it's
not
funny
to say,
you say that.
I'm not trying not to say.
No, it's just funny that you say that, because my rendition of this was the fact that this was the most powerful Kang. Now, hear me out.
Yep.
Let me finish, right? So this is the most powerful Kang put in a location where he was at his weakest.
Yep.
And he built an incredible army,
empire. Yep.
military, and technology and everything out of literally nothing.
Yep.
Now, granted, we can argue that he got his suit back, and I understand that, and I'm not saying that that's not advanced tech or anything like that, but, like, all he had was his suit, and he created everything else. He created a huge, monumental empire in this little universe and was conquering just to try to get to a point where he could go back into the timeline and obliterate all his variants.
Yep. And anyone who got in his way. Like when he had Ant-Man captured, he was like, "Who are you? Are you the guy with the hammer?" And it's like, just shows, like, Thor is one of the most powerful MCU characters, and he just nonchalantly, like, "Have I killed you already?" Which I know in the trailer we were talking about how, like, "Oh, which Ant-Man were you? Were you the one that I already killed?" Which now, now we know it was Thor. Which Avenger have I killed? Which is still, crazy to think about. So for me, with me, when it comes to Ant-Man, the Ant-Man jokes are kind of hit or miss for me. There were some jokes, like when I first saw Ant-Man first, I've said this to you 100 times. When I saw Ant-Man first, I wasn't a fan of it, because I had just saw Deadpool, and I took it as this is a watered down version of Deadpool. Years later, when I was watching all of the MCU movies again, I rewatched Ant-Man 1, and I was like, you know what? This is actually a good movie. Ant-Man 2 I liked from the beginning.
All right, so I'm going to stop you right there. So one of the big things is you saw Ant-Man after you saw Deadpool, when in actuality, Ant-Man came first.
Yes.
And so, no, I'm just making that clear because I do agree with you, but because I didn't have the Deadpool reference when I saw Ant-Man, I thought it was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I agree with you. It's definitely a watered-down version of Deadpool, but, like, it proved that Deadpool could have worked, and it obviously did. But you understand what I'm getting at.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that was on me because of the fact that, I mean, when it first came out, I don't remember if it was because I wasn't really interested or nobody would go see it, so I didn't end up seeing it. And then
it was probably both, because Ant-Man really wasn't that big of a character. I mean, it literally was his first movie. I think we only because we didn't even see him because Civil War didn't even come out yet. So he was literally, this was a standalone movie, and we had no idea what we were expecting.
Yep. No, absolutely. So like I said, I saw Ant-Man of the first one again when I was going through the MCU movies, and I loved it. Ant-Man 2 was great. This movie, I feel like I'm gonna have to watch it again once it comes out on Disney Plus, and then we'll see if the jokes hit or miss again. Some of the jokes were great. Like I loved the jokes with MODOK and Cassie.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that a lot of it was hit and miss. But like I think the big thing was, and I might have to rewatch the whole MCU when Ant-Man Quantumania comes out on Disney Plus, because I feel like they made a lot of jokes about stuff that happened in the movies that I might not have registered, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they made a lot of jokes about stuff that I wasn't aware of, or I didn't like. It wasn't fresh in my head. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. How did you like MODOK? Okay, no, great talk. Great talk. Everyone loves silence.
All right, listen here, smart. But
watch your tone.
I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little disappointed that he wasn't used a little bit more. I had said during the thing that I didn't think he was going to be a major player. I personally thought that in the movie, though, he was purely a comedic character. So I thought they kind of underused him a little bit. But again, this was his first introduction to MODOK into the MCU. So we could see other variants that would show him a little bit differently. But
I agree with you on that. I think this was the perfect rendition of MODOK because he is the joke of the Marvel comics, in my personal opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's got some serious storylines and stuff like that. But when you think of villains, MODOK is not the top tier on your list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was literally created.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his name is an anagram for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He was, in fact, because I did a character spotlight on my own channel, where it was originally MODOC originally. It was, oh my gosh. Anyway, instead of killing, it was calculations or computing. And so later it then became killing. And so the whole thing was, he is the butt of the jokes. He was created by AIM. Now, technically, like the thing here is like the guy. The argument is that AIM didn't create MODOK this time, but like in a way they kind of did, in a very like nonchalant way they did. So like they helped design the suit because he was controlling AIM.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that guy like he was in cahoots with AIM? His tech that he was using was used by AIM.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and what happens was his suit made him shrink proportionally,
Yep.
and because of that, he turned into MODOK. So, like, even though in the comics they like genetically modified him, not this particular guy, but somebody else, but they genetically modified this guy to be MODOK. Their technology made him MODOK on accident, which I don't think was a huge issue in my mind, because I think that's what made it more of a joke, because he is a nobody. MODOK is a nobody. Mm-hmm. The only people who know him are those who've dealt with AIM. And if you've never dealt with AIM, you've never known him. I mean, yes, he's a big powerhouse in some certain aspects. Like, he's gone toe-to-toe with the Hulk, which I know it sounds weird saying, but, like, he's gotten a metal suit and, like, gone toe-to-toe with the Hulk. But he's not a character that is, like, a big name. He never was going to be.
Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed that they killed him. But I did like the fact that he was a hero turn, because there are renditions of him where he does become the hero or like tries to do good. So it's not like it was all that far fetched.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is the shrinking of his brain. The genetic mutation or the genetic manipulation of his brain caused him to then be a killer, but there was still a piece of him in it. He was never necessarily the killer. You know what I mean? It was kind of like what happened to him made him the killer. And
Okay.
so like with Yellow Jacket, I think a lot of the shrinking and everything else messed with his psyche, and that was talked in the first Ant-Man
Mhm.
about that being the case. So the fact that he was kind of in a better state of mind because it wasn't his suit anymore,
Mhm.
that he was much more of trying to be the hero, even though he obviously wasn't. I also think that they made him what I want him to be too. Like he was a weapon. He
Mhm.
was a weapon feared by everybody until Ant-Man gets there. I mean, realistically, he was.
Yeah.
He was feared.
Mhm.
Like people were afraid of Kang, but like when Kang sent this guy out, like everyone was like, "Oh, like he's brought the big guns." You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like so he was still a powerhouse, but not to the level of Ant-Man, in my personal opinion,
Yeah.
which was fine. I
Yeah.
didn't hate it. I also thought it was hilarious about the fact that Michelle Pfeiffer's character was uh, a rebellious fighter, a rebellion, trying to take down Kang,
Mhm.
which I did like. But I was surprised that she was the one that was the reason for King being as powerful as he was in that realm,
Mhm.
which I thought was very interesting too. And the fact that she left was a huge thing too. But yeah, no, MODOK was a big thing for me. I enjoyed it personally. I thought he was the butt of everyone's joke. Quite literally, when he saw his butt, that was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yep.
I think all of it was incredible in the sense of like it was perfect. The CGI on his face, I think, was wonky at times, but like I don't know what I was expecting.
I didn't have
Like he was
I didn't have an issue with his CGI as a whole. I did actually have an issue with the CGI in the movie, which I'm not saying that it was bad, but because of how the landscape was designed, it kind of bothered me a little bit. Like it just like all the moving parts and all the colors. It was like it was a lot to handle, and it kind of it irritated me a little bit. No, like it wasn't. I'm not saying it was really bad. It just because of the
well, it wasn't.
quantum realm being how it is, it kind of it bothered me a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's more the fact that it was just so much going on. It wasn't so much that they did anything bad; like it still looked beautiful. It was just, I agree with you. It might have taken away from some of the action. Um, so I did like, I loved Kang being like cold, like
Yeah.
not caring. Like I'll do what I want when I want, and I'm gonna get what I want, whether you like it or not. I will kill all of you without a problem. I won't question it at all. You can die, you can not. I don't care. And I think that was the perfect tone for him in such a way. But I also, the weird thing too was the fact that, like, in a way, like, he's still a man. And, like, I know it sounds stupid saying that, but, like, he's still a man in the sense of, like, he respected that Michelle Pfeiffer's character saved him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to give you what you want, but, like, I'm still going to do me.
Mhm.
Like, I'll let you have that time with your daughter where you never left, but, like, I'm going to kill like trillions of lives, but like you won't know because it like never happened. It
Yep.
didn't exist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think it was like his way of trying to give gratitude, and I think that was incredible.
Yeah.
Personally, it showed a huge side of Kang that I don't think I ever knew in the comics. Like, I knew he had some like caringness to him, but I don't think I would have saw it in this. I'm impressed with it, but I also don't think he's dead. I'm calling it now. He's not dead.
I kind of agree with you. The only reason I'm iffy with it is because of the post credit scene. But
I have my own thoughts on that.
okay.
Don't get to- so actually, realistically, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. You know, the whole thing was kind of cool. But
So
let's
what would
move
you
on
give
to
it out
the.
of 10?
So this is tough because I don't think I'm going to give it an accurate like thought process until I watch the whole MCU again to really say exactly how much I'm going to give it. But I've been sticking with I think between an 8 and an 8.5, and I haven't really changed all that much.
Okay.
I don't know if that will change after looking at it from the grand scale.
Mhm.
Like maybe it doesn't like live up to everything else I've seen, but right now I'm giving it that because I did like it for a lot of reasons. Because in my mind, it did something with Kang, like it showed how powerful he can be, but also how weak he was in the quantum realm. And I know it sounds stupid when I say that because he really wasn't weak in the grand scheme of things, but like he was significantly weakened by not having his tech.
Yeah.
Like he did not have all his tech. He only had his suit, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sheer fact that we haven't even seen him at his full power yet, and seeing what he can do without his full power is terrifying, in my opinion. In the sense of, but like great at the same time.
How did you feel about them not touching on the fact that she aged in the quantum realm?
They did touch it, I think. I think they did touch it. They touched upon it. It was like a throwaway line. There was a point, I forgot when, but there was a point, I can't remember when we were seeing Bill Murray's character, or if it was when she stabbed the guy. I can't remember when they were talking about it, but they talked about how time works completely differently in the quantum realm, and it made it seem like certain areas time was faster and slower and stopped in others, because the quantum realm was a bunch of different worlds, which made me question the fact that the quantum realm is not just one timeline, like a stop in time, but like time exists very differently there. So based on what world you were on, time was different, was what I took out of it. Now, that's how I took it. I felt like that's how they explained it slightly. Like they didn't go into detail for sure, but I feel like it's like a throwaway line saying that, time works very differently in the quantum realm, which I know we talked about to begin with, but I think it was touched upon in the sense that different parts of the quantum realm move differently as well. Which explains a lot of like the action scenes and stuff like that, on how certain things looked like they were happening at the same time, but it was unclear if they were. You know what I mean? Because time is just a weird thing.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I don't think they touched on it enough, but I think they gave it. They at least acknowledged it, and that's definitely a step in the right direction. But I do agree with you that it wasn't fully explained, because it looked like when she saw Kang, she was already old. I hate saying that. But again, that could have been just.
It
was tough to tell.
Her hair was graying when Kang was there.
Yeah, it was kind of tough to tell. And it's not like we got to see a before shot. You know what I mean? Like what she looked like going into the quantum realm to leaving the quantum realm. Because we do know that the actress is younger than the guy who plays Hank Pym. So I mean, it's a weird situation. It's unclear, but that's what I took it as anyway, in my personal opinion.
All right, that works.
And then, so that was the whole thing on that, and I was kind of impressed. What did you think about the ants, though?
Creeped me out.
So I think it needs to be explained more, because I feel like the ants evolved inside their world, and they got thrown into the quantum realm, and then everything else like that I get, but like they never explained like how they got so advanced so quickly, and apparently they advanced. No. So here's the thing. I agree with you that they talked about how advanced they got in the quantum realm, which made me question the fact of like time moves differently in each part of the quantum realm. They like lived thousands of years or whatever like that, and they developed so quickly. But in the real world, they never explained how they got tech like enough. You know what I mean? Like they were already smart before going in the quantum realm.
I thought it was just. I just thought it was like one of those.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was. I'm just stating that like that particular. Like I understand it after like they advanced because they were in the quantum realm and they like built technology and all that stuff. I get that piece.
Yeah.
I think the technology beforehand, and maybe it was Hank that built it, and I just assumed they made it seem like the ants did.
Well, I thought I just took it as one of those things where in the past Ant-Man films, they are smart because of Hank giving them the technology. So going into this movie, I just assumed that it was the same thing. Hank's technology advanced them, and then going into the quantum realm, it furthered the process significantly. So
fair enough.
That was how I took it.
That was a minor thing. Like I understood like why they were so advanced after the fact. That it didn't bother me, but like the very beginning was the part that got me. But I think you're right. I think I overthought that, but I just was curious on your thoughts. But yeah, so I think I know where Kang is right now. The one that got thrown into the little ball.
Mm-hmm. You think it's inside his own mind?
Nope.
No.
You know where he is? He's where time doesn't exist. He's where, remember the creature that was dissolving everything? I think this is where he finds it.
Oh, okay.
So he's in a place that time doesn't exist right now, beyond time, where he builds his palace as the He Who Remains.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I think all this is supposed to happen because nobody can actually access that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it would make sense that when he first got there, he didn't get there on purpose.
Yeah, no, that's a good theory. That's a very good theory. I like that idea.
And if we remember correctly, nobody could ever pinpoint anybody that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Even at Loki, we couldn't pinpoint them. You couldn't get there easily.
Yeah.
So there was a whole issue with that. But anyway, that being said, that's where I think he is. So let's talk about the after credit scene, the first one. So we have the Council of Kangs coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Majors, I will say this. None of obviously the crowd Kangs were similar, obviously, but each, the clearly different variants, he's made them very different in such a great way. So, all right, so I know you probably don't know all the variants that were shown. So there were two that are 100% claimed in the sense of who they actually are. It's been confirmed who they are, and there's a third one that I suspect. Mm-hmm. So we physically saw him. We physically saw this variant, but it is unclear on which variant he is. Whether he's a new one just for the MCU, or if he's one that's been already created in the comics, but they gave him a new look. So, the first two, which were obvious, were Pharaoh Ramatut and Immortus.
Okay.
Do you know either of those two?
Not really, no.
Okay, so sorry, I'm clicking back and forth. So Pharaoh Ramatut, he's actually, ironically, the very first version of Kang to ever exist in the Marvel Comics. So Kang the Conqueror did not exist before this guy. He actually existed first. And he came in the Fantastic Four comics originally. And he is supposed to be the villain, or at least make a cameo in the Fantastic Four film, this particular variant of Kang. This Kang went back in time to take over ancient Egypt.
Yep, obviously, I took that.
So the rumor is the reason why he goes back in time is because he wants to get away from the technology and prove that he can be a conqueror without it, which is kind of weird because this variation of it shows that he does have tech because he's able to be transported, but I don't know if he uses it to conquer Egypt, personally. Mm-hmm. I think he does whatever the technology they have, and I think he does it that way. I think that's where he builds his physical strength, specifically, for this particular variant. And then Immortus is the oldest version of Kang. And I know that sounds weird saying it because we have He Who Remains. He Who Remains is different. He's the one that exists after all the others are defeated. Hence why he's called He Who Remains. Immortus is actually the oldest one and is the one that it becomes, I don't want to say ancient, but is literally the oldest, Kang that literally, even though he doesn't exist, he exists out of time, he does age eventually, and this is him after that. And he is supposedly the most, not the most dangerous, but the most intelligent of them all.
The wisest.
Which I know it sounds weird saying, and I think it just has to do with the fact of his age. And so Immortus was the one that was talking the most.
Yep.
Obviously. He even had the specific headgear and everything else. Now, the third one we saw, right? The one that was calling everybody in and kind of had that weird, almost android-looking body. Mm-hmm. I think, now this has not been confirmed, I personally think it is a version of Iron Lad. Now, Iron Lad is a variant of Kang the Conqueror who becomes a hero, I put that in quotations, and actually makes a suit that is very similar to Iron Man.
Oh, okay.
So his suit is completely different than Iron Man in the sense of so in the comics it looks very similar to Iron Man's suit. The difference is the suit is kind of more think of Blue Beetle's suit, in the sense of he's in complete control of it. His actions control it without any without any hesitation. He does not even have to be in the suit for it to go under his command. It's connected to him neurologically or whatever, and he's able to use it without an issue. He's also the youngest Kang, age-wise. And that's kind of the big factor there. That's why I thought it was Iron Lad, because he did look the youngest out of them all. But it also could have been just the fact that Immortus made a robotic Kang. But it's unclear on that. But I definitely went with Iron Lad because I thought that was a great homage to another variant, especially one that we know, or the comic book fans know. And, like, kind of being like, oh my god, it's Iron Lad. But, like, they didn't make it an Iron Man copycat like they did in the comics. They made it slightly different, which I think is cool, if it is that, because it is not confirmed, obviously. But it looks like those three, and it would make sense that those three were the leaders of the Kang Council.
Yeah.
Because they are the most well known. Immortus, not surprising. Pharaoh Ramatut, not surprising. Iron Lad, a little surprised, but, like, who else would they take it? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not. The other Kang variants are just variants of Kang. Like, they're not their own person. You know what I mean? Like, they're just Kang from another universe. And I know that sounds stupid saying, but, like, a lot of his variants have their own personality, their own character name. And so they have their own storyline, where the others are kind of just like, nah, I'm Kang who sneezed instead of coughed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
as stupid as that sounds, but, like, that's how different they are.
Yeah.
Some of them. But super excited, because that's also a huge tease to the Kang dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is going to be the next big Avengers movie. Yeah,
Now,
super excited about that.
Am I correct in remembering that Kang looked up to Iron Man, which would explain why he went superhero?
So, this is the weird thing. So, Kang lived 1,000 years after the Avengers existed.
Yep.
So, it's unclear. So, like, there's been talk that Kang is related to Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Doom, Tony Stark. Like, the only one that's been confirmed, and it's not really been confirmed, is Mr. Fantastic, because he shares the same last name.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only, like, thing that is stated. You know what I mean? Like, because there's so many years after they existed, there's a lot of bloodline mixing up that could have happened that it's unclear on who he's actually related to and who he idolized. And also, the other thing, too, is we don't really know what the tech looked like in 3000.
Yeah.
In the like, so, like, that could have been like a car.
Okay.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's tough to it's tough to say, because I don't want to say, like, he didn't. Not that he didn't look up to him. I don't want to say that that's not the case. I'm stating that I think it was just, like, common knowledge. Like, when you went to school, I would imagine, like, you learned basic mechanic stuff from Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I don't necessarily know he, like, idolized him. I mean, he could have very well. I mean, I think this particular one did, like Iron Lad specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of them do.
Okay.
I think they all know he exists. And
Yeah.
So I think this is the weird thing that people get really, like, confused by, I think, personally, is the fact that without the Avengers, Kang would have never existed. And what I mean by that is the technology that they've done in the 21st century, he was able to, like, it was child's play by the time Kang was alive. You know what I mean? Like, he was able to manipulate it in such a way that it was nothing like the Avengers could ever think of. You know what I mean? Like, and again, he's a testament to his time, where he had a lot of, like, advancement went significantly further than what the Avengers did. So I don't want to, like, bash the Avengers and saying, like, oh, what they didn't do wasn't great, but I think that because of the huge time difference between when Kang was born and the Avengers doing their thing, I don't think the technology advancement was as huge as it was in our time, as stupid as it sounds. And to him, it was kind of like child's play. That being said, I think he probably looked up to him in the fact that Tony Stark was born in the wrong time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was so advanced, like, he was, like, advancing human civilization far beyond what anyone could think of, and Kang might have wanted to do the same thing. Obviously, very
Different way.
tyrant kind of way. But yeah, so that was the big thing for me, was that. And then we got the second after credit scene was basically a trailer to season 2 of Loki. Sorry, trailer of season 2 on Loki. Now, do you know who that man was that we saw?
The Kang?
So he's a variant of Kang, obviously. But do you know which Kang variant?
No.
So he plays a huge role in the Marvel Comics, as weird as it sounds. So I actually can tell you the actual year that this guy was around. So it was like the early 1900s. So his name is stupid, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So his name is Victor Timely.
Victor Timely. Okay.
yeah, not a huge fan of it. But he's the mayor of a town in Wisconsin, and the town in Wisconsin is called Timely, Wisconsin, and I'm assuming it's named after him, although I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in 1901, and so Victor Timely is a scientist who's trying to advance civilization. So basically, he's how do I put this? He goes back in time to mess with Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. So he wants to prove that he's smarter than the two of them, which, again, this is the comics version, so they could do something very different in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find that to be hilarious. So what they're showing is, because what you see is his technology that he's showing off is very similar to, and of course I can't think of the guy's name now, Thomas Edison's opponent. We had Thomas Edison, and it was somebody else who created the other bulb, the incandescent bulb. Not the incandescent bulb, the other guy. You know who I'm talking about? The fight for the light bulb. It was
Einstein?
Thomas Edison.
Einstein?
No.
No.
The light bulb. The light bulb.
Oh,
No, there was literally a fight to create the light bulb. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So anyway, it's not the point. The point I'm making is it looks like Victor Timely is taking that position as that person,
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is hilarious. So I'm assuming he's trying to mess with the timeline, obviously, to do what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular character also helped educate Phineas Horton, who was created the original Human Torch. Now, I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what? The Human Torch? What? That's the Fantastic Four. The original Human Torch was actually a robot.
Oh.
And we actually see this creation in Captain America: The First Avenger. We see him at the Stark Expo. So what it is he's in a case. He's literally in a case. So this takes a place in the 1930s? Talking about Captain America, 1920s. Sorry. Ooh. When was World War II? I'm going to sound like an idiot. I'm sorry.
40s.
Well, anyway, either way. So I was. It was later
38. The official date was 38, and it ended in 45 officially, I believe.
Well, so the point I'm making is this makes sense that he educates this guy to create the Human Torch, because we see the Human Torch on display at that particular Stark Expo. Now, granted, he was in a case. We didn't actually get to see it do anything, but it did exist. So it has the potential of a lot of stuff happening. And I'm also curious if Season 2 is going to be specifically about this particular Kang variant, like the whole season is going to be about that, or if it's going to be about taking down each Kang variant one at a time.
Okay.
I don't know which way they're going to go, but there's a lot to explore with Victor Timely that it could be its own. It could be its own season, personally, because he messes up the timeline so much. Like, they have to go back and fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
For like the scientific purposes. But I'm super excited about it because I didn't even know that this particular variant existed until this came out, and I read about him, and it is hilarious. He is literally he goes back in time just to mess with stuff. Like, he just likes doing stuff. He just likes messing with all these things whatsoever. Like, he just likes messing with everything. And I find that to be hilarious. Which, and this is just a side note. I don't know why, but apparently they've done like the best incarnations of Kang the Conqueror, and Victor Timely lands 14th.
All right.
So I don't know what the rest of them stand, but I happen to find that out, and I find that hilarious. He just messes with the time. Like, he just goes back and, like, wants to prove that he's smarter than all these guys. And it's like, and I hate being a jerk on this, but it's like, of course you're smarter than them.
You're from the 30.
Yes, you live like 2,000 years after these guys. Like, of course you're. That's like us going to the cavemen and, like, using a lighter and being like, look at us.
Yep.
We are smarter than you.
Arrogant.
Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 100%. Like, it's just so funny. But definitely super excited for Loki 2. The only disappointment I have on that trailer was they never gave us a time frame of when it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
That is my only
Yeah.
issue with it. And I think it's because everything's just been pushed back. But that's pretty much everything for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Anything else you want to talk about on that?
I mean, we talked about the jokes between Cassie and what's it called? What's his name? MODOK. We talked about the ants, which, I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I'll be honest. I thought it was hilarious how, he's so powerful. Wow, he's so powerful, but yet gets demolished by a group of ants. Like, it just completely overrun. And again, because these ants are so advanced, it works. But just
and there's also so many of them too, because he did take out a lot. I will say that. Like, he didn't go down without swinging. Like, he took a bunch of ants out.
Yeah.
I think that was underestimated in the sense of, like, I feel like people were like, oh, Kang got defeated by a bunch of ants. It's like, yeah, but, like, he also took a lot of them out. Like, he didn't, like, and he also didn't die. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get killed by the ants. Like, his armor did get destroyed significantly, but, like, he himself still survived.
Yep. The other thing, too, when the movie was coming to a close and Ant-Man and Kang had their final fight, I like how powerful they showed him still, with the fact that even though the ants destroyed his technology, with his hand-to-hand combat, he is still very formidable.
So I think I agree with you on that, but I also think that it does, even though the suit was partially destroyed, it did still give him a physical boost a little bit, not to a huge extent, as it would have if he had this full suit on. But I think and again, I could be wrong, because he's technically, this is where it gets weird. So he's technically physically stronger than an average human. And what I mean by that is, obviously most of people in the MCU are physically stronger than the average human. But what I mean by that is, like, the strength of a person in the 31st century and the strength of a person in the 21st century, there's a significant difference.
Makes sense.
And it has to do with, like, the advancement of technology and stuff like that.
Yep.
Plus, he's more immune to toxins and stuff like that as well. And he's less accessible to radiation, which makes it less likely for him to get cancer and stuff like that. But that's not because of him specifically. It's because of evolution of the human race.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's not known to be a hand-to-hand guy, but, like, he can be. Like, he's not gonna be able to go toe to toe with, like, the Hulk without a suit, but, like, he can go probably toe to toe with possibly Captain America, like, without his suit. And I know people are gonna be like, no way, not with the super soldier serum. I think he can. I mean, I think Captain will be stronger, but I think he can hold his own.
Yeah.
Personally. And I'm talking about without the suit. With the suit, everyone's gone.
Oh, yeah.
100%, and I mean, like, full power suit too. Like, but yeah, no, definitely, I like that piece. I did like the physical thing about it, but I also loved the way the movie ended with Scott Lang being like, no, we definitely saved the world, right? Right? Like, no, there can't be more of them. No. Like, he's not like the better choice of them all, right? Like, well, you know what I mean? Like, and I think, from a personal standpoint, personally, for somebody who, like, is so bad at, like, making decisions, because I know I am, right? Like, the indecisiveness of that, like, being like, no, I did a great job today, but, like, did I?
Yeah.
Like, I could have, you know what I mean? And I think obviously it worked because Kang wasn't lying, but I think it also shows a little bit about how human the heroes are, and I don't think we always get that all the time.
Yeah.
I think it just shows, like, even in a victory, it's like, did we really win?
Yeah.
Mess up even worse. Like, are we the good guys or are we the bad guys type of thing? And I think that was a huge, first off, a great play by them, in my personal opinion, to like really end it that way, because I think that was the point. Did they do the right thing? Was taking Kang out the best thing to do? You know what I mean? Like, that's a huge.
It's the same, because it's the similar thought process of how Loki season 1 ended. Like, do we believe him that there's other worse Kangs than him, or do we just let things go the way that we hope they will? Which
and the other thing too is, and this is going to be the weird part, but like, that Kang who says it is the one who killed all those other virgins. So like,
captured them.
Well,
didn't kill
them. Disagree.
Well, I mean, they're still existing in the other timelines.
No, they didn't. So like, he who remains removed them all. He got rid of all of them. He beat all of them. Hence why there was that one continuous timeline.
Yeah.
When they branched off, they existed again. So the point I'm making is this guy is going to be the one to take them out again. So he is so strong. He is so powerful. He scares his other variants.
Yep.
His other variants teamed up to take him out, to send him into the quantum realm.
Yep.
Like, that's what gets me, in the sense of like, that's how powerful this guy could be. And we only saw a taste of his power. It was not even close to the magnitude of what it can be. And we're going to see how powerful all these Kangs are together. And then we're going to see Kang come out and just literally just slap them all down. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I understand now how you're going, how that process goes. Yeah.
Because it's weird talking like this, but like, the Kang we see in this movie is technically the Kang we see in Loki. And I know that's a weird thing to say, because, well, they're not the same thing. You know, the timeline's changed, but it hasn't. I know it sounds stupid, but like, he knows all this is going to happen. Like, he knows to take over again without a problem. Like, if it doesn't work out, like if the sacred timeline doesn't stay together, he knows he can make it again, because he's done it before. And I think that's the most incredible piece of it. And the fact that, like, this guy is, like, he knows it. I think, in a way, he knows how the timeline's going to go, even though he might not know everything. But, like, that Kang took out all the other Kangs. And, like, we're seeing how powerful they are. And it's like, how can one guy take out, like, a million of them? Because it looks like a million of Kangs.
Yeah.
And the Avengers have never faced anything like this, obviously. But, like, we're going to be facing, like Thanos was a powerhouse by himself, right? He had an army that was powerful, right? But his army was nowhere to the degree of strength he was. Yeah. We can agree to.
It was funny. It's funny that you mentioned Thanos, because I was scrolling through Twitter today and I saw that IGN, I think it was IGN, did like a post, a poll for who would win in a fight, Thanos or Kang, and I think it was like with 58% of the vote, Thanos won. And I'm just like, Thanos could win if he had all the stones, but without his stones, Kang just has the technology to overpower Thanos without a problem.
Well, also, he can go back in time and stop him from getting the stones. So it's like, it's like apples and oranges. So like, physically, Thanos is stronger, but I think power-wise, if you consider everything, Kang is extremely more powerful. And the fact that, like, we're going to see an army of Kangs. Yep. Like, this isn't like the little aliens that ran into the shields, or ran into like the barrier at Wakanda. These are highly intelligent beings who are just the pawns. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the weakest level, and you're dealing with people who are like Kang level at the minimum, right? Yep. Like, you're going to be dealing with hundreds of thousands of them, and they're not even the strongest versions. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that's going to be a huge like
Yeah.
we're going to see a team up like we've never seen before, because we're going to see timelines come together on this, and like, because it's going to be the only way that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like we always say, there's so much that they can do with this, and if they can do it right, it'll be absolutely fantastic.
My concern right now, and this is my only concern I have no issue with the huge team ups or anything like that. Like if they bring in the X-Men and all that stuff from the other universes, I don't see an issue with that yet. My issue is seeing so many different Kangs that I lose track of who's who.
I will agree. They have to keep having them each have their own different identity. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem.
I think they're going to have to like really like they're going to have to. I think they're going to do it for like the important ones, but I think like the infantry, like Kangs,
it makes sense.
I don't, and it would make sense, but I feel like they're gonna play it off a little bit or like use it to their advantage. Like they all look the same because they all, because it's literally the same actor. But I mean like. But also too, I mean, there's some Kang versions out there that that could come out too. Like we could see Kangaroo the Conqueror.
Kangaroo?
The Conqueror.
Kangaroo. Took me a minute. I hate you.
It's from Peter Porker's universe.
Yep. Took me a minute.
Yeah. So there are different variants of him that could exist.
I mean, we saw it with Loki, where we can have situations where it's the same actor, same character, but like we have a female Loki, we have alligator Loki, we have this really old Loki, we have Viking Loki. You know, majority of them are going to be all the same. But if they really want to throw like a little curveball just to keep giving it a little bit separate identity, just throw in a unique Kang just to make it work.
So the weird thing is, I think it's been announced, and I think Marvel's announced it, that all variants of Kang will be played by Jonathan Majors.
Oh, they did? Okay, never mind then.
But he could be the voice of them.
Okay, yeah, that's also true.
So
if it's
like,
out,
so like, I mean, no, meaning like if they did like a Kangaroo the Conqueror, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It could still exist where it's still him. But, I mean, he's going to be making money hand over fist with this franchise now. I mean, he's already playing 3 bad guys, and they're all the same. Actually, 4, really. Because I'm not counting all the little ones that he played. But yeah, I am personally, the after credit scenes got me super excited for Secret War that's going to be coming. Super excited for Kang Dynasty. Super excited for all of that. I mean, I'm just excited in general. Like, there's not much I'm like worried about, which I'm happy about, to be honest with you, and definitely looking forward to where it's going.
Yep.
All right. So,
and the next one coming out this year is Guardians 3, which I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good movie. I think there's got to be. I understand why they haven't done it, but there's a lot of stuff that has to be explained. Although, like we talked about, Nebula kind of makes it a point in the trailer. She's like, "Yeah, that's kind of like the basic points, but you're missing a lot of important details."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think that I think that line was such a throwaway that I didn't even consider it. But after watching it again, I was like, "Oh, she's literally stating that like this isn't everything. Like, don't get worried about it."
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, we haven't seen too much about it, but that's because right now the focus was on Ant-Man. So now, as months come by,
which is understandable for obvious reasons. I mean, this was a major blockbuster, and it proved its point. Obviously, in my opinion, I thought it was great overall. But that's pretty much it for Marvel for right now, up until the new stuff starts coming out. So we're going to be doing our character spotlights. So 2 random characters, one from Marvel, one from DC, that you most likely have never heard of before. And Mike has graciously decided to go first.
I have. This is the first time finding out about it, so I will graciously accept.
That's how it works.
The character that I chose, her name is Laura Lane Kent. So this character, Laura Lane Kent. Can you make a guess?
I'm assuming it's the daughter of Lois Lane and Superman.
You are correct. So, her one and only appearance in the comics takes place in the Injustice universe, where Joker kills her.
Okay.
So, Laura Lane Kent does not officially exist. Her only appearance is in Injustice universe, where Superman has a dream about her in the future. Joker kills Lois and their unborn child in the very first issue of Injustice. And in Injustice Year 3, which I'm going to be honest, I do not remember this. I have to go back and read the Injustice series. But apparently in Year 3, there was a flashback where Joker does not kill Lois and the child. They managed to stop the Joker from setting off the bomb. Lois is saved. And it goes through that when Joker is taunting Batman, Batman says, I'm going to take him to jail. I'm going to take him to Arkham. While in the car ride to Arkham, Joker just keeps nailing him and nailing him. He's like, oh, it didn't work out this time, but I'll kill Lois and the kid at another time. So when he says that, Batman snaps and actually kills Joker. And when he kills Joker, Batman goes to the police and turns himself in. And when he turns himself in, Superman comes and says, you did something good. I can break you out of here in no time. And he said, no, I killed someone. I'm going to do the time. And they go through it. Lois has the kid. Turns out to be a girl. She grows up. She has all of her superpowers that Superman has. They fight. They team up, and they. I have you. Your face is having questions. So, what is your question?
No. So I do remember it wasn't a flashback. It was actually a spell I believe he was under to kind of stop him from going on a rampage, because I believe Year 3 was when the magic people were involved.
Yes. Yep.
So I think that's what it was. I don't remember all of it. That's why I'm making that face, because I'm like, I remember him.
Yeah, it wasn't a flashback. It was a dream.
Correct. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is I don't remember all of it.
Yeah.
So I remember him going back and Batman killing Joker and everything else, and him doing the time. But I don't remember seeing a kid. But that I might have just not overlooked it. I might have overlooked it.
It's been so long, so it's been so long, so that's why I said I have to go back and read it. So she's in the flashback, or not the flashback, in the dream, she's kind of like the Justice League ambassador. She takes more role as she gets more power. But she's trained how to be a better fighter than Superman with all the other Justice League members. This character kind of takes the Supergirl persona.
Yes.
She's still the cousin of Supergirl, but because technically Supergirl isn't around yet in Year 3, she becomes Supergirl. And again, this is all just dreams, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean that's really it. It's literally just a very small character. She's Superman's daughter. She isn't real, but this is a possibility of what could have been if Joker didn't take it away. And it just it one of those things where it hurts, because you feel Superman's pain, because it's just the Man of Steel is so weak. And
yeah, he's kind of like an ant in the sense of he has an exoskeleton, but inside is super smushy. Once you break through the hard shell, it's easy to break him.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that's my character spotlight. Laura Lane Kent, who's technically Supergirl in this imaginary world.
So here's the thing that gets me. So that costume that she has, so I'm looking at a picture of her. Mm-hmm. That costume she has looks very similar to the costume we see in the Flash trailer.
Yes. That is apparently the Supergirl in that trailer took
her look,
took their design from this character.
Well, hair and all, like it's the same hair color, hairstyle, and
Yep.
everything else. But anyway, I figured I'd mention that because
Yeah.
I did my research, aka I googled.
Yep.
Um,
No, I saw that, and I actually I
as the first thing you
completely
thought of
forgot to
too.
mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing. Okay, so my person. Now, my person was around a little bit longer than yours. Um, she was around for literally a year. So she was around from July 2001 and then died in 2002. Um, so the character was introduced in 2001 and then the character was killed off in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So this character, you might be wondering, is who the heck is she? Well, it's Edith Sawyer, and she's from Earth 616, which is the main universe. But her code name in the X-Men is called You Go Girl. Okay? You have to realize this is pure early 2000s, right? Marvel. So her power is teleportation. So anyway, she lived in a small backwoods town, and one day she realized she woke up in a different place after falling asleep. So she subconsciously teleported herself somewhere else, and her powers began to manifest. And apparently, she apparently gave birth at like a young age, at like 15 or whatever. Not really relevant to the story, but I just want to add that in there because she's got a lot of stuff going on that happened in a year's time.
Very short period of time.
Yeah. So she gave birth, she teleported away, and all this stuff. Now the big thing was she teamed up with the X-Force. So she wasn't technically part of the X-Men; she was part of the X-Force. And what happened was she joined the team and tried to help out in dealing with stuff, but there was a huge issue with her power. Take a guess on what her issue with her power is.
Couldn't control the teleportation.
Oh no, she can pinpoint exactly where she needs to go, and in fact, she's better than Nightcrawler. She can pinpoint it a heck of a lot better than him. No, she passes out after using it once.
Okay.
She can't use it as an offensive. So like Nightcrawler can teleport and attack his opponents using martial arts. She can only use her teleportation to help out the team. I'm gonna say once, but that's not the best way of kind of describing it. So like depending on how much force she needs to use to teleport the people to where they need to go or herself determines how long she has to sleep for. So like the bigger exertion of power, the more time she needs to be passed out asleep.
That makes sense.
And then I shouldn't laugh. So one of the weird things was they did like this weird mission where they were in space and stuff like that, and she died.
Just died.
No. So what happened was Edith was shot with a bone spur by one of the Rangers posing as Spike, and she was laid dead.
Oh, that's.
She requested that the team call itself Ecstatic instead, but then they covered her body in a shroud and let it drift into space.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't last long. So she's got like this blue skin, light blue skin. So like not Nightcrawler, it's almost like a baby blue, and red hair.
Was she was she just not a liked character, or was it?
I think so. The weird thing was, if I remember correctly, and this has been a long time, so I don't remember everything that happened in early 2000s, but I think Marvel was trying to make all these new X-Men characters or mutants to show that like not everyone would get cool powers like Nightcrawler. Like it wasn't something so like not everyone would get like the greatest power. Like your powers came with limits and stuff like that. So like I'm trying to describe it. Like it was almost like they wanted to put limiters on people's abilities, and they didn't want to do it to the main characters, so they did it to these side characters to see how it would play out. And I don't think it played out too well. I think the characters we know do have limits. I just don't think they're shown a lot. And these characters had very obvious limits, and they kind of stunk.
Yeah. Okay.
So she has the possession. She has the possession. she possesses the power of teleportation with no apparent limit. So she can supposedly teleport anywhere. That being said, she has to be awake and fully conscious to use her power accurately. So meaning, like, if she tries to, like... So at one point, she started taking this drug. I call it a drug, but it really was considered a stimulant, which is a drug, but, like, not like cocaine or anything like that. It was... she was using a specific stimulant to wake herself up, to be able to help out and use her powers. But the problem was, with that enhancement, she was very inaccurate. She became less accurate because of this issue. So if she didn't have the proper rest, she would screw up.
Okay, that makes sense.
In fact, it caused her to fall asleep, and obviously the longer the distance, the more rest she needed. And like, she was addicted to coffee, used stimulants to wake herself up, but it was a detriment to her body.
Okay.
And although this is what gets me laughing. A lot of her, like, development as a character wasn't done until after she was dead. And I know you're probably looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, how did they do that? So apparently, like, they were reviewing her diary to talk about how her life was. So, like, we got a bigger idea of her character, like how she was the way she was, and, like, how she got pregnant early and all this stuff. Like, none of that was known until after she was dead.
That's depressing.
Yeah, so, like, she was, like, so unknown. Like, they got her in, killed her, and then, like, oh, by the way, remember this person that we had on the team? Like, dead? Like, yeah, she had a child. She had an, abusive father, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that makes it even more depressing. I just wanted to add that because it's fun. I like talking about this stuff.
That's so depressing. Just like, oh yeah, we introduced this character. She was kind of useless. We didn't really like her. We're just gonna kill her off.
We threw her into space.
And now, oh yeah, here's her backstory.
By the way, she's been dead. Let's talk more about her. Yeah. So definitely a character I found interesting. So I'll tell you my secret on what I do. I'm trying to do each letter of the alphabet, and I happened to decide to pick you randomly, and this character came up, and I was like, I have to talk about this one.
Yeah. Well, that's a good character.
I also like the fact that they tried to do something different. They tried to use, like, addicted to drugs to a certain extent to the character, but also, but you understand what I'm getting at. But, like, showing, like, real world problems, like, meaning, like, I have this great ability, but I can only use it once. Like, what is the most human nature thing to do? Let me try to figure out how to cheat and make it so I can use it more than once. You know what I mean? And, like, seeing how it fails every single time she tries, right? Mm-hmm. And it's depressing how quickly she was removed. But I don't think she's a character that could have stayed long, personally.
No, not with she would have been definitely more of a supporting character that shows up once in a while, not, from the sound of it, obviously not a main character. Yeah. But, just someone to show up and do something and then disappear.
Correct. And there's another mutant that I might be talking about in the next podcast that has an even sadder existence.
Oh, Jesus.
Hope you're prepared. I'm gonna bring the sunshine and rainbows.
I have to up my game with these characters.
Yeah, you do. No, but actually, this one didn't bother me. This one was actually a good one. I liked yours because it was one that didn't exist but could exist, and I think that's what makes it even better. Because we normally see the rendition of Superman having a son, and not ever really having a daughter. So I think this is actually a cool rendition, one that we hope to see in the future, obviously. But let's get into the real important stuff now. So, for those of you who don't know, we've been having a difficulty posting our stuff onto Spotify. We're hoping to fix this issue. It is an issue we are still continuing to work on. But for right now, you will 100% be able to see our content on YouTube. It'll be under the Black Eel Podcast. And make sure you like and subscribe, because we definitely would appreciate that. And also stay tuned. We will let you know when it is officially on Spotify and working properly, because right now there's still some remnants of our stuff, but it is sorely lacking. So I do apologize. We're trying to rectify that issue, and we'll soon be able to do so, hopefully in a timely manner. I'm hoping by the next episode it's at least resolved enough that you won't be seeing it on Spotify at the very least. If not, hopefully we'll actually have the problem resolved. But other than that, thank you very much, guys. We are looking forward to our next episode, which will be airing on March 15th, where we'll be talking about a lot more stuff coming down the pipeline. Thank you very much. This is going to be Mike and Scott from Black Eel Podcast, signing out. Have a good one.